So next, I would like to introduce Felicia Decker, and Felicia is the Buffalo County Veteran Service Officer. So let's welcome Felicia. How are you doing?
Doing fabulous. How about yourself?
Doing good. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us a little bit today. So the first question that I have is I would like to know a little bit more about you. Tell us a little bit more about you.
I am actually from out west, so I came to Wisconsin as a transplant in 2013. I was in the Army. Military intelligence was my MOS in SIGINT, and we did a lot of really cool stuff. So that's very basic about me. I love what I do.
Well, thank you. Well, how long have you been the County Veteran Service Officer?
Since April 22nd, 2019.
So you've been there for a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about Buffalo County and the veterans you service?
Buffalo County is located by the Mississippi River, right next to Winona, and we service Fountain City, Alma, Cochran, Buffalo City, Nelson, Mondovi, Modena, and Gilmanton area. Those are our service. A lot of the veterans we serve are aging from our World War II veterans. We've got about 4 in my county, and then we've got from the younger veterans that have served anywhere from like 18, 19 to almost 100 years old. So we have a really good variation of veterans in our area.
Great. What are some of the unique challenges that you think that your veterans face in your county or in your area?
A lot of the unique challenges they have is we have a huge elderly population. So we're right in between Minneapolis VA Medical Center and Toma VA Medical Center. So it's the same distance for them. We have some pretty rough winters. There's not a lot of mental health available in our area. And so that'd be some of the challenges that they're facing. Job sources too. It's a little bit difficult to find employment if you're a certain age.
Well, with you being the County Veteran Service Officer there and knowing some of the unique challenges that they face, how are you and your office kind of helping kind of bridge that gap for them?
A lot of times we'll get in touch with local organizations. There's a local organization called Hope for You, suicide prevention, helping end the stigma of mental health issues. And then there are lots of areas that we get them in contact with the programs that we have with the WDVA, with TOMA, with Minneapolis, Minnesota, for their mental health needs. We try and connect them to people. And then of course, calling them and building that personal trust and that relationship with them so that when they're in trouble, when they need someone to walk them through the steps of how to get help, I'm right here.
And you said that you guys still have a couple of World War II veterans that you see, and that's pretty cool. What era of veterans do you think you see most of, though?
I see the Gulf War veterans and also Vietnam veterans.
Okay.
We have a large population of Vietnam veterans in our area.
All right. One question that I do have for you, because you have a few other counties around you, so there's a nice amount of CVSOs. How close do you work with some of those other county veteran service officers?
We are interwoven. Trempealeau, Pepin, Pierce, Eau Claire, Barron, Dunn. We are interwoven to help work with each other because sometimes we'll have a situation where you've got a more experienced CVSO, or sometimes there is a history in another county and you need to get that background. So we don't, it's not competitive. What we basically say is any veteran is welcome into our office. If we feel like it's in the best interest of that veteran, we will warm hand them over to the county that they belong to. But it's really up to that veteran. Whatever that veteran's comfortable with, we do communicate to our county partners saying, hey, I've got this veteran from your county. They're being seen in my office, because that's a professional courtesy. but I'd say we work really well together.
The one thing that I've been hearing from a lot of different CVSOs from the counties that we've spoken with previously is that warm handoff. How important is that warm handoff between you and the VAs that you work with, or you and the other CVSOs in your area?
For one thing, it's a professional courtesy. It's a sign of respect for that county and the mandate that they have to take care of their veterans. And a lot of times, um, I get referrals from veterans that work and live in my county from their relatives that don't even know anything about a CVSO. So it's that level of trust that a veteran has when they come to you with a family member or a problem, or they've been referred to you by someone that you've served, and then letting them know, hey, you have a closer CVSO that can assist you. Here you go, and just kind of letting them take over from there.
Now, you guys, as recently as last week, just finished up with your spring CVSO conference. And we're gonna definitely, we meaning the R&R House, are definitely gonna try to be involved in your fall conference that's coming up as well. What are some of the things or some of the new things that you guys have talked about or learned in that conference?
There's lots of different processes that are ever changing and ever evolving. The VA does put out a lot of different forms. So they're basically educating us on forms and procedures that help assist us to better serve our veterans, because nothing's more frustrating than sending in a packet for that veteran and that veteran getting like bombarded with, oh, we need this form and oh, we need that form. So some of the training that we have is center based on getting educated and making sure we're up to date on all the pertinent forms and information we need to get a claim through. A lot of it is for um, if the VA makes a mistake, they've got a new process now where you can, hey, if you're paying attention to your claim, which most of us do, send this in this way so that we can stop this mistake from going out to the veteran. Because at the end of the day, we all just want to learn how to better serve our veterans. They did a lot of education on suicide prevention, a lot of education on how we can better serve with our ethics, a lot of education on what resources are available out there to veterans, because there are resources all the time coming in. And if we're all gathered together, we all get that same information, then we can better serve on a more consistent plane.
Thank you for sharing that information. Ms. Felicia, I will say, we at the R&R House, we do run a 24-hour non-crisis warm line, and we have spoken with a few veterans from your county and providing them resources. Hey, have you spoken to your CVSO? And they had nothing but great things to say about you. So I was glad to, once we got to Buffalo County, to actually really meet you, and you put a picture with the face. So I want to say thank you for everything that you are doing in that county. And it sounds like you have a pretty good pulse of what's going on with the vets there, and they know about you. What are some? How do you kind of get the word out about some of the programs that your office has, and how are you meeting with the veterans in your county?
A lot of times, I will do public speaking engagements where they let people know that that's who I am. There is also our organizations, our American Legion and our VFWs, that I would go around and let them know, hey, this is the new pertinent information that you guys need to be aware of. If you guys have any issues, let me know. A lot of times when a family member passes, they don't know that their veteran was entitled to burial benefits. So the funeral homes have a letter that I've heartfelt written to the families so that they have information on, hey, this is how you can get a hold of me. We do outreach a lot. We do a lot of outreach. If someone asks me to come and talk with a veteran, I do home visits. And a lot of it is reputation. If you are doing what you're supposed to do and you're doing it with the dedication and the heart that you need to, you're you're getting out there. We do have uh, forum talks where they'll ask me questions and they'll ask me to send out written letters. I do call my veterans. I have what's called a calling list, especially with COVID where they were so isolated. I make sure and give them a call so that they know that I'm thinking about them. And sometimes it takes a little time, but you know, we're in the business of taking care of veterans. So it's time well spent in keeping that open line of communication means a lot. A callback. I mean, veterans are used to these automated systems of being put on hold all the time. So one of the things that that my office offers is that they can always talk to me. You know, and I even have an after-hour cell phone line for emergencies where people really need to get a hold of me. They can. You know, we're not just a 9 to 5, or we're you need something, I'll do what I can.
You mentioned COVID. How has that been a challenge, especially when you were saying that there's not a whole heck of a lot in regards to resources and things like that? How have you guys been able to manage through COVID and being able to continue to stay in touch with your veterans?
When COVID first hit, I volunteered for the meal delivery program so that I could see some of my veterans in person and check on them and say, "Hey, how you doing? Here's your food. Tell me what's going on. What do you need?" And some of them needed something as simple as toilet paper, and you get it to them. Um, we stayed open most of COVID. A lot of the format and delivery changed. There wasn't as many face-to-face meetings, but there was a lot of phone exchange. There was a lot of walking through forms so that they didn't have to do it themselves. There was a lot of mail going out. There were appointments that I would just make anyway because they needed to see your face. You know, showing respect for the boundaries and the guidelines that they had for the mandated practices of seeing people face to face. We did adhere to that very strictly, but I allowed people in and I talked to them face to face, or I'd visit their home if they needed. We kept it the way that we needed to, but overall, we just kept serving our veterans. When they needed food, we'd get them resources for food. When they needed, you know, some of our veterans even got kicked out of their homes for renting because they lost some of their profession. So there's all sorts of scenarios that I could paint for you about how difficult that was. One of the things was getting healthcare, getting seen, helping them get up the technology for those telehealth meetings. That was very vital so that they could get input and information. Some of the other things that I did, like I said, is any of my veterans that came to me and says, I'm feeling so isolated and so frustrated, I would refer to the veteran crisis line, but I would also put them on my personal call list and say, "Hey, you know, how's it going? What you doing? Oh, you're learning to weave baskets underwater in your bathtub. That's great." I mean, our veterans appreciated that they weren't forgotten and they weren't lost during this kind of time.
Great. That's great. That's great. Last question that I have. Um, how has the vaccination been going in your area, especially when it comes to veterans? Have How has that been going for you guys?
We have got, I believe, our Health and Human Services and I work together to make sure that we got about 75% of our county vaccinated. You
Wow,
know,
that's
people still have a choice, but one of the things that I offered for knowledge is anytime a veteran came in, I would ask, and maybe that's right or wrong, I don't know, but I'd say, "Did you get vaccinated?" And they'd say, "Yes, this is where I got vaccinated." That helped save a lot of time and vaccinations for other people that did not have it. Our elderly population, the ones that couldn't get out. I let our Department of Health and Human Services know, "Hey, you know, these veterans can't go to these sites that you have. Is there any way that we can get in-home vaccination?" And they made it happen. So as far as vaccination, people have their agency about whether or not they want it, but for the most part, our county is open doors. Everybody's, for the most part, as far as we know, vaccinated. So there is a good repertoire that we have with our county veterans and citizens in getting vaccinated and keeping our county safe.
what is the best way for a veteran to get in contact with you or your office?
So they can give me a call on our work line, 608-685-6219, or they can email me, Felicia, Felicia .decker co.buffalo.wi.us. Or if it's after hours between 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m., they can call my work cell phone that's after hours, which is 608-418-0300. They can call and text that one if it's an emergency or if they really have a desperate need.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us, and thank you for all the work that you do out there in Buffalo County for our veterans. You have a great day.
You are most welcome. It was a pleasure. Thank you.